Hello and welcome to episode, what is this, 6?
Yes.
Of the franchise. I'm your host, Daniel Ehrenberg.
And I'm your co-host, Henry Papali.
Boom. And today we are covering another two Wes Craven franchise pictures, Scream 3 and Scream 4, the belated Scream 4.
Yeah.
Do you have any franchise news or anything like that?
Do I have any franchise news?
Yeah.
Oh, no, not really. Do you have any franchise news?
No, I thought I did. I was all excited. I saw an ad for this new sitcom on ABC called Speechless, and I thought it was based on that Michael Keaton movie.
Obviously.
Yeah, but it turns out to be about a kid with cerebral palsy.
Okay. Is that going to be a franchise?
Oh, I hope so. We're still waiting for the cerebral palsy franchise.
Oh, man. Yeah. No, I really don't have. I don't have any franchises.
All right, then let's pop right in.
Yeah, sure.
We've got Scream 3. This was released February 4th, 2000. I believe it was aiming for that same December release date as the first two Scream movies, but it got delayed because this movie was a mess. There were a lot of reshoots and rewrites, and no Kevin Williamson to be found.
Right.
This is an Aaron Kruger joint.
Yeah, it is.
Now, I highlighted it last week. Aaron Kruger's a fella that was hot in Hollywood at the time off of a spec script that he had written that at the time of Scream 3 was currently being made, and that was Reindeer Games.
Yeah.
Everyone
Excellent.
thought that was going to be a big hit, and everyone thought it was a great script.
Yeah.
Everyone was wrong about everything regarding Reindeer Games.
Yeah, I'd say that's true. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, his other previous credit before Scream 3 was Arlington Road.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that was him, and I actually thought I liked that movie.
Yeah, I don't mind that movie. What's that, Jeff Bridges and Tim
Yeah.
Robbins? They're living
Yeah.
next door to each other. One of them's a terrorist.
Right.
It's one of
right.
those white terrorist movies you used to
Yeah.
get pre-9/11.
Yeah. And,
So Scream 3 is an odd little duck because it's made on the heels of Columbine. So it's slightly less violent, and they sort of amp up the comedy elements, which is odd.
yeah.
And then there's not another one made for 11 years. But, you know,
But it did very well.
that's what I'm saying. It made $161.8 million, which is a tiny, tiny bit less than the first two, but
Right.
not a lot.
No.
The problem was that it's on a budget of $40 million. And no horror movie has any business costing $40 million.
That's a really good point.
There's explosions in this movie. You don't need explosions in your horror movie.
Yeah, you're right. There's nothing really big happening here that would justify that budget. I mean, dumb question. The budget, does that include also the payroll of the cast?
Yeah, but I don't think the payroll of this cast is exorbitant.
I don't know. Courtney Cox at that point probably got.
She's probably the highest paid because she's still on Friends at this
Right,
point. They're
right.
probably in season 7 or something at this point.
And Lance Henriksen, maybe he got a little nice.
We're not paying Lance Henriksen. Shut your mouth.
I think he got $3 million for this movie.
Because Millennium was such a big hit at the time.
Because he's Bishop, man.
Millennium, man, that's a
Yeah.
good show, but my
Never.
problem with it is always that the main character played by Lance Henriksen is named Frank Black, and you can't do that. That's the guy from the Pixies.
Oh wow, okay. I never heard of Millennium.
It was Chris Carter's follow-up to The X-Files.
Okay.
It's a good show.
Yeah. The only other one who would be this is pre McDreamy for Patrick Dempsey, right? So
Yeah, we're still a good 5 years away from McDreamy in this
so
movie.
he's still what, Loverboy? or whatever he's known.
Oh, he is fledgling.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
got nothing going on.
he's got the '80s, and that's about it.
Yeah. He's still trying to get his career going. He looks great, though, and I actually think Patrick Dempsey's kind of he's not a great actor, but he's got some screen presence and some charisma. And he's got the worst dialogue of any character in this movie.
That's up for about a 10-point multiple choice question, but sure.
No. I always remember this movie. Anytime anyone brings up Scream 3 to me, the first thing I think of is, he's like a detective in this.
Yeah.
And
Not a good one.
No, a terrible one. And Sydney goes, "Hey, detective, what's your favorite scary movie?" And he gets right up in her face, all intense, and he goes, "My life."
Yeah.
It makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, if you thought Nick Karan was a bad detective, boy, this guy's really bad.
I like how you always use the Basic Instinct 2 pronunciation of that.
Absolutely, I always will. Because right in the beginning, I mean, you'll set up the plot for us.
Sure.
But as soon as he's shown the picture of Maureen Prescott, has no idea who she is. And I kept waiting to see, like, well, he knows who she is. I mean, but, like, we've been through 3 of these things, and in the Scream universe, this is, like, the most famous thing in the world. And this detective can't fucking identify the mother of the... I mean, I was like, wow. He's like, I got a picture... do you know who this woman is? So,
Yeah. Surely,
good work, Inspector.
Surely that Gale Weathers book, The Woodsboro Murders, had some kind of section right in the middle with where the pages are glossy and there's some photos.
There was a lot of glossy pages in that book. I'm sure.
Oh, baby,
that's a pamphlet. Yeah.
All
right, set it up.
Okay, so this movie. So Kevin Williamson, you might recall from last week's episode, pitched Scream as a trilogy, and in his original pitch, the third film was going to be a return to Woodsboro, the town that the first film takes place in, and the killers were going to be members of a fan club of the Stab films, which in the movies are based on the events of the Scream movies.
Yeah.
And Stu, Matthew Lillard's character from the first film, was going to turn out to be alive in jail, and he would have been orchestrating the fan club murders.
Yes. I read that.
Yeah, which might have been interesting. I don't know. It's a little far-fetched that Stu would have survived a TV being thrown into his face. But
hey, man. I would have taken it for this movie.
Oh, 100%. Any day of the week.
Yeah.
But Miramax, Bob Weinstein in particular, the lesser Weinstein, both in stature, weight, and power.
Clout
and
clout.
smarts. And he decides we can't go back to Woodsboro because then we're dealing with high school kids again, and Columbine happens, so we're not doing that. And so we go to old Hollyweird in this film, and we're dealing with the filming of Stab 3. And murders start happening on the set of that movie, and the murders are happening in the order of where the characters die in the screenplay, I guess.
Right.
And
yeah, and the rewrites and the
yeah, and of course, Dewey's there as like what is it, a consultant, and Gale Weathers is. They end up together at the end of that second movie, but in the third movie, they're back to being bickering. And
right.
Sydney pops up eventually after Nev Campbell had other shit to do and could only be in like 20 minutes of this movie. and so
they were able to secure Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh my God! Yeah, Jay and Silent Bob are in this movie.
Yep.
Just for a second, but they have
it lit. Yeah, I was happy.
It's a really unfunny cameo.
Yeah, but I've never seen the movie, so for me it was like anything to grasp onto. I was like, "Way, whoa."
Those guys. I think they were filming something out there, and Bob Weinstein asked them to do it, and Kevin didn't want to, but Jason Mewes was a big Scream fan, so he was
okay.
like, "Ah, it'll make him happy.
Right?
Maybe
Yeah.
he won't do heroin that day."
Jesus.
Yeah. So it's not a good movie,
No.
and I'm a huge Scream fan. You know, I love these movies. I've seen Scream 3 a lot of times,
Yeah.
but it's a pretty bad movie, and it makes that known right at the start when we're opening on Cotton Weary, Liev Schreiber's character,
Right.
and then we see his girlfriend, and she's taking a shower.
Yeah.
Didn't
Yep.
we just make fun of that trope in Scream 2?
I think so.
And now we're doing it unironically in Scream 3.
That's the question.
Yeah.
Is it ironic?
It's not
or-
ironic. It's
Okay.
totally not ironic.
All right. You know,
no.
they're smarter than the viewer, so I don't know, what to think.
And I think that's usually true. I think Kevin Williamson is ahead of the viewer in a lot of cases, but Aaron Kruger is not. And Aaron Kruger basically used none of the outline that Kevin Williamson sent in for this movie.
Oh.
This is an Aaron Kruger movie.
Yes.
This is the official follow-up to Reindeer Games.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, Cotton Weary's girlfriend, by the way, played by Kelly Rutherford, who went on to play Lily Vanderwoodson, Blake Lively's mom in Gossip Girl.
Jesus. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow.
Also in the opening scene, a Creed song.
Ugh. Ooh. Yeah, the music was tough in this one to sit through.
Okay, that brings me to a little game.
Uh-oh.
Let's play a little game.
If it's about the music, I'm sure I'll fail, but
I've
let's
got
go.
Scream 3, the album, the track list up here. This is when movie studios still tried to put together albums for movies, thinking they'd make some more money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to name every band on the Scream 3 soundtrack, and you tell me how many you remember.
Or if I've even heard of the band.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
So the album was released by Wind Up Records, and their big artist at the time was Creed. So they have 2 songs on the soundtrack.
Ugh.
You remember them, I'm sure.
They're just really I mean, who needs to even say it? But really, I remember when they came out and just the epitome of the worst shit type of, oh, God.
Well, they were
Make me cringe.
They were just sort of like a post-grunge kind of band. Most of the stuff on the soundtrack is nu metal, which was really hot at the time. The Korns and Limp Bizkit.
Ugh,
And
what a period of great American music.
It was a period where it was all about appealing to high school boys that were pissed off at their parents.
Ugh.
So I listened to a lot of these bands.
So I get Nirvana and Stone Temple Pilots, and you got Creed.
I
and
got Korn.
Wow. All right.
I can tell you that my mom owns at least one Creed album. And do you want to know why?
Why?
We've already brought up Woodstock 99, my love of that great event.
Yes.
I was watching Woodstock 99. My mom comes in. She's never heard of Creed before. Scott Stapp is wearing a white button-down T-shirt and jeans, and he's covering a Doors song
Of course he
with
is.
Robbie Krieger playing
Ugh.
guitar.
That's terrible. Yeah.
And my mom lost her mind. It was
Right.
like fucking the Beatles on Ed Sullivan.
Oh, my God.
Like I've never seen my mom where it's like, oh my God, I think she's turned on.
Was it because of the Doors cover?
No, it was because of Scott Stapp. The motherfucker was sexy in that shirt and jeans.
Ugh. He toured with the remaining Doors.
Yeah.
One of their many great crimes post. Well, you're not a fan anyway, but my lord. Oh,
Okay.
that's funny because that was in '99. You said.
Yeah.
I saw Robbie Krieger in 2000. I saw him live, and he played with Greg Allman's son, and it was an amazing show because Greg Allman's an actual musician.
Well, Krieger sounded good, but
Krieger's was great.
yeah, but he's just playing with
Yeah,
Mark
anyway.
Tremonti on the other guitar.
Oof.
Can you remember? I remember the other guitarist's name in Creed,
I don't know anybody in there except SS, so that's it.
the Stapinator.
Ugh.
Okay, I'm gonna start naming bands. You tell me if you remember them.
All right.
Slipknot,
Yes.
Finger 11.
Nope.
I do. System of a Down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were big. I loved them, like legit.
Ugh.
Yeah. Okay, here's the first one I don't remember. American Pearl.
Nope.
Seven Dust.
Yes.
Yeah, the only new metal band with a black lead singer.
Okay.
Godsmack.
Yeah.
Yep. Coal Chamber.
Nope. Cold Chamber?
Yeah. Static X.
Nope.
Oh, they were big. Hey, R.I.P. Wayne Static. He died
Okay.
recently, the lead singer of Static X.
Okay.
Incubus.
Yeah.
They were big.
Yeah.
Dope.
No.
Great movie. Fuel.
I want to say no, but I think maybe.
No, you're remembering the Metallica song.
No, I wouldn't
I
remember
know.
that.
No, Fuel was kind of a thing. I don't remember what their hit. Oh, you know what their hit was? You wanna take my picture? Remember that one?
Sounds beautiful, but no, I don't.
I think the dude from Fuel was his brother is the guy from Tool. I'm almost positive about that.
Fuel Tool.
Yeah.
All right.
They might have had that song "Hey Man, Nice Shot" too.
Oh no, that's Godsmack.
That's not Godsmack.
Yes, it is.
No, I can tell you 100% that's not Godsmack.
Are you sure?
Yes.
That's the song in Cable Guy when they're playing basketball.
That is not Godsmack. Godsmack did not exist in 1996.
I thought that was Godsmack. That song.
I
Hey,
believe
Nice
that's...
Shot.
No, it's not Fuel, but it is Filter.
Filter. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Thanks
Okay.
for looking that up real quick.
I didn't look it up. I remembered it.
Okay, good call.
Power Man 5000.
Yeah, I remember them.
Full Devil Jacket.
No.
I've never heard of them.
No.
Orgy.
Yes, I remember them.
They got big off that Blue Monday cover. Stained.
Yeah. Boy, I remember. This is scary. I remember way too much of this. Yeah.
And lastly, we have Ear 2000.
No.
That was David Arquette's band.
Wow. I didn't know he had one, but I'm not at
They
all.
all did, man. Dog Star forever.
Yeah, that's true.
30-odd Foot of Grunt.
Hey, they're still around.
Really? Russell Crowe's band?
I have no idea. I assume they are.
Probably. All right, so what do you got on this movie? How about the cast? We're doing a weird thing in this movie where we're casting some sort of just bad actors for eye candy, but then other actors are taken from like the indie film world.
Yeah.
So
Well-
like there are 2 cast members from Waiting for Guffman in Scream 3.
Right. Well, can I give an early? Can I just do this early? Can I give my MVP early?
If you want.
Yeah, I'm going to. Because Parker Posey is in the movie. And I love her, and she's great in the movie. She's the only part of the movie I liked.
She's good in the movie. She does what the movie's trying to do. So I
Right.
can't fault Parker Posey, but that character has no business being in a Scream film.
Oh, I don't care. She's fine. She's so good that she elevates any material she's in, and this needed elevation because we were below sea level here. So I have an LVP for sure.
Oh, who's that?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of candidates, but I got to go with Emily Mortimer.
Yeah, which is kind of a bummer because Emily
You're right.
Mortimer is a good actor.
Yes, and you want to know one of the reasons why she's my LVP?
Accent.
Yeah, and
Really,
I'm not
real
and
bad
that's
American
not, and that's
accent.
not my thing. You know, that's your thing.
Yeah.
But whoa, I mean, it is fucking unbelievable. I mean, I guess she was still. I know she'd been in a lot of things, like probably in Britain, but she could not handle this accent. It was wow.
Oh, that British accent is as naked as Emily Mortimer in Lovely and Amazing.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's rough, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do my MVP and LVP later because I haven't really landed on it yet.
That's fine. Yeah, I prepared for that early. I also had a quick note about Liev Schreiber.
Sure, he dies in that opening scene. The opening scene in this one, Scream, if they really wanted to try something to keep you off balance at this point, they wouldn't kill someone in the opening scene. But
Right.
This one has Cotton Weary and his lady friend dying.
Yeah. Well, I was hearkening back to, I guess it was last week's podcast when you were saying how we were discussing Liev Schreiber in '96 and like, well, how you said like when you saw Scream eventually, like, oh yeah, I knew him from stuff, and I was like thinking like, well, yeah, but I didn't. I don't. When did he really kind of come through? And then I looked at something kind of amazing. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
I think I know why you recognized him. He did, and me too. This is why for me as well. He did 5 movies in 1996.
Okay, what are the others?
So that's why you probably Day Trippers,
I hadn't seen that yet.
right? Walking and Talking,
I hadn't seen that yet.
Big Night,
I saw that later too.
Ransom.
That might be it.
That has to be it. That's what I figured you'd say. And Scream. Yeah, in 1 year, those all came out. So all of a sudden, Liev Schreiber is he's in the conversation. Is pre that he'd been in a very like 3 movies, but nothing to make him any kind of star.
Yeah,
so,
it's got to be Ransom. I saw that like right when it came out.
yeah.
And I saw all those movies. That's a pretty fucking good year for him, working with Greg Mottola, Wes Craven, and Nicole Holofcener, and Ron Howard.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah. So I thought I'd point that out.
He's had a good career. That Ray Donovan's unwatchable, but I like Liev Schreiber.
I like him. I like him in a lot of movies. I like him in one of my favorites. I don't even know if you ever saw it, but the Painted Veil.
No, I never saw that.
He's great. He's great in a lot of stuff. He's just a very good actor, and he's very funny. He's my favorite part of the 10. Remember the 10?
Oh, well, like I don't remember the 10.
No, you would more than me. I
Yeah.
only saw it once, but he's in my favorite sketch.
Sure, the great follow-up to Wet Hot American Summer.
The 10 when he does the CAT scan sketch. That's my favorite one.
Oh, that's right. That is great.
That's my favorite one. Yeah.
Liev.
Liev.
You know, sometimes you call someone by their first and last name so much that you don't realize how weird it must be to call them by their first name. Like, what's it like on set, Wes? It's like, okay, Liev, over here.
Yeah. Parker, Liev, I'm going to need you over here. Emily, work on it. Don't worry about the accent, honey. Just focus on the character.
Oh, God, they should have just let her be British, and
Let her
then
be
they could do a fun thing where they show her pretending to be Sydney,
There
and
you
like
go.
doing an American accent, and it would be bad, and that would be funny.
Right. Yeah. Bad move.
Yeah. So yeah, Matt Kieslar from Waiting for Guffman's also in this film. He's all right. Josh Payas, a good character actor, probably has the funniest lines in this movie. He's Patrick Dempsey's partner.
Oh, yeah. You're right. He does have the best lines in the movie.
He's
Yeah.
good. I like the line. Maybe my favorite line in this movie is, the director, played by Scott Foley, says, "Hey, the killings aren't connected to this film, are they?" And he goes like, "It's a film called Stab. She was stabbed." And then he just walks away.
Yeah, he's good. He's
Yeah.
good.
How about Scott Foley making his feature debut after being, I think they'd only done 1 season, or maybe 2, of the great underrated Felicity.
Yeah. I had never seen him in my life.
Is that true? You've never seen Scott Foley in anything?
I don't think so.
Well, this is not the place to start.
Yeah. Well, what followed this for him?
Oh, well, I mean, he did the rest of Felicity. That ran like 4 seasons. And then he just became a working TV actor. He's on
Okay.
Scandal now.
Oh, well, that's why I don't know him. He doesn't have like any major films, or
No, I don't think so. He was on the.
you're right because I'm looking at him right now,
Yeah,
and he's I don't know anything except Below. I saw that the submarine movie.
I didn't see that, but he was on David Mamet's The Unit for a couple
Mhm.
seasons, and
Okay.
he did an arc on Grey's Anatomy, and then Scandal, which is created by the same lady, Shonda Rhimes. Then she like brought him over there.
Oh, you're not kidding, and he was on True Blood too. Wow.
Yeah, for one season, just misused like a motherfucker.
Okay.
And he's misused in this movie too, because the thing about Scott Foley is he's a charmer.
Yeah.
That's what he's good at. He's there to be unassuming and charming.
Right.
And True Blood cast him as like a fucking army guy with PTSD,
Yeah.
and Scream 3 cast him as a serial killer.
Right. No.
We should get into that. The killer in this movie turns out to be Scott Foley, who's directing Stab 3. And a big coincidence, the director of Stab 3 turns out to be Sidney's brother.
Yeah.
And he's been orchestrating the events of these movies the whole time.
So now I have to ask you something because this is important for franchise stuff. Does that annoy the shit out of you? Because now you're supposed to look back on the first two and think, oh, it was all part of this guy's plan.
A couple of things are exactly what I was talking about with Die Hard.
Mhm.
One of them is, okay, now you're doing your third movie in the series. We have to give it a mythology for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Right,
It's the same thing. Hans Gruber's brother. Now it's Sidney's brother who apparently recruited Billy and Stu. And so it is like that. I watch Scream now, and it's less so than with Die Hard because I saw Scream so many times before watching Scream 3
Yeah.
that I can kind of get back in that mindset. But it is always going to be that thing in the back of my mind where it's like, oh, Roman Bridger is behind the scenes of all of this.
Yeah. Really, I mean, really silly. Just silliness. Kind of grasping at straws here, plot-wise, too.
Yeah,
You know-
and it's got the worst climax of any of the movies set in Lance Henriksen's big mansion. It's
Right.
really stupid.
Yeah. And another one where the movie is, it's like 117 minutes, man. I mean, oh my God. Shorten them up, you know?
Yeah, all the Screams are about 10 minutes too long.
The last one is not. That's okay. It's still too long, but it's not. I think it comes in a little over 90, which was
No, the Scream 4, you mean?
Yeah.
That's 111 minutes.
Are you really? Well, I'm not going to ask you if you're sure. I'm sure you're sure.
Yeah.
I didn't. I thought it. Oh, okay. Maybe I watched an abridged version. I don't know. Or maybe the credits came up at you know what the credits. It probably ended around 96, and then 5 minutes of credits.
No,
So-
no, it's long. Scream 4.
Really?
Yeah, maybe it flew by for you, which is good.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Also, in the end, where she's battling with her fucking brother, when she like lands the finishing blow, she goes, "It's your turn to scream, asshole."
Yeah. Oh God. Oh my God.
So bad, rivaling. What's your favorite scary movie? My Life, for the worst line in the movie. And the movie just doesn't make sense. Gail Weathers is being barred from the set of Scream 3 for being press, but wasn't she like the executive producer of that first one?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
We're also doing a thing in this where we're trying to make horror movie references, which we sort of took a step back from in Scream 2.
Yeah.
And there's no need for it. Roger Corman is hanging around in this movie for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I don't know why Carrie Fisher showed up in this. Can you explain that?
Yes, I can. They tried to get Jamie Lee Curtis, and she turned them down.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So Carrie Fisher shows up, reportedly rewrote a lot of her dialogue, not doing a much better job than Aaron Kruger, and was weird.
She was weird, you think?
Yes, that's a weird scene. Parker Posey kind of saves it, to be honest. But
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? The original guys in this movie are still good. Like Nev Campbell, David Arquette, and Courtney Cox are giving their all.
Right.
I think they give as good performances as they can.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. They're the recurring characters. I think also it probably has to do with the fact that they want to see this movie succeed. They've been a part of it for this long. So, they're in it. They're in it to win it.
Sure. And the other old cast member that shows up in this movie is Jamie Kennedy.
Oh, that's right.
Randy died in the last one.
Yep.
Randy, and this makes sense, he decided when the killings were happening on campus in that last movie, just in case I get murdered, they might need some more pithy dialogue about horror franchises. So
Yes.
I'm going to record myself and leave a note for my sister to follow them onto the set of a Hollywood movie just in case some murders start happening again, and play them this VHS tape.
Very smart. Lot of foresight.
So much.
Yeah, and played by his sister, by the way, played by Heather Matarazzo in a kind of a red herring role, because you see her and you figure, oh, she'll have something to do with something.
Yeah, and then she just leaves. Like, she literally leaves. Like, we see her saying, like, bye, Dewey.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, audience. Yeah, I kept thinking she was going to, appear again in some kind of role. And no. Just, gone. It's very, very odd.
It is weird. And so basically that's Scream 3. I mean, Columbine kind of killed it. Aaron Kruger killed it. It's a pretty bad movie. I do think it's a sweet note to end on at the end there when Sydney's door sort of blows open and she leaves it open because she feels safe now.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of sweet.
Yeah, sure.
But it was not a good experience for me. I sort of had Phantom Menace syndrome with this movie for a while, where I convinced myself it was good.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, you probably must have, because you're a big fan of the movie. So you try to make do with what you get.
I saw in theaters opening night on a trip to Florida. There were a lot of people yelling at the screen. Scream. And I got mad at the end of the movie, and as I was walking out, I yelled at this group of kids, and I was like, thanks for ruining the fucking movie. And this girl shot back, and she shut me down. She goes, nice language. And it made me mad, but she got me.
Yeah, nice language.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you were a kid, right? So
yeah, I would have been 14.
Yeah.
I was probably, I was listening to, I probably went home listening to some Korn.
Yeah. On your Discman.
On my old Discman, I pulled up Life is Peachy.
Oh, man. Nice language.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So, Scream 3. On the 1 to 5 scale, I'm not going 1. 1 for me is reserved to movies like Basic Instinct 2, where there's just no redeeming things in it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, this movie had its moments, and I'll give it 2.
Yeah. This movie did not have really any redeeming qualities to me. It was a chore to sit through. I kept trying to hang on to something, and I couldn't. I'm going with 1, man.
That's fine. It's fine, bro.
It's right down there. It's just bad, man. It's a bad movie, and I can't willingly give it 2. I mean, I gave Scream 2 stars, and I thought that was pretty bad. But this was just like you described earlier. This was just complete and total incoherent.
Scream 2 is light years ahead of Scream 3.
Well, yeah. But this is a 1 star for me. I'll never watch it again.
MVP. Oh, God. I mean...
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll go with David Arquette. He's fun in this.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I already gave mine, Parker Posey.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. LVP, I mean, there's so much to choose from. Should I go Jenny McCarthy?
Yo, you know what? I actually wrote her name down and then crossed it out once we came to Emily Mortimer.
Yeah. Should I go Patrick Warburton? Basically playing putty in Scream 3.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's a really hard call.
Should I go with that sassy black guy that gets killed?
If I were in your position, I'd go for Jenny McCarthy because she was, pretty famous at the
She's
time.
in 2 scenes, though.
Yeah, but she's really bad.
She is really bad. I'm going to go with not Scott Foley because I like the character. I like the actor and most stuff, but I'll go with Roman.
Okay, so Scott Foley is your... All right.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Scream 4.
Oh, by the way, quick superhero count in Scream 3.
Oh.
Nothing. It's just Liev again.
Oh, okay.
Sabretooth.
None of them?
I looked. I always do it just off the top of my head because that's the fun part. That's how I started all this. But then this one had so many people in it, so many stars. I was like, oh,
hey,
it's
got Princess Leia.
That's not a superhero to me.
I guess.
No. You got to keep it. You got to keep it in the. Yeah.
David Arquette was an 8-legged freak. So that doesn't count.
No, that doesn't count.
All right.
No, sorry. You're looking for something. But,
I am.
It's all right. I have a superhero count in Scream 4. So.
Okay, so Scream 4 comes out 11 years later. I'm an adult. All right. It's April 5th, 2011. It's 11 a.m. I'm in that theater.
Wow.
Yeah. This thing's got a budget of $40 million. I don't know why. Seriously? It should be $15 million.
$15 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, people think this movie tanked, but it made $97.1 million.
Oh,
that's
right.
not what they wanted out of this movie.
No, but it's more than doubled the budget. So
yeah. Hey, if it cost $15 million, that's a big hit.
Yeah.
I was nervous about this film.
I bet you were.
Wes Craven was coming off of My Soul to Take, which is a garbage pile.
I didn't see it.
He did do one good movie between Scream 3 and Scream 4, and that was Red Eye.
That's a watchable movie.
I love that movie. It's like an hour and 25 minutes long, and it moves.
Yeah, no, that's an okay movie. Yeah.
Cillian Murphy, genuinely scary in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Kevin Williamson, I mean, his career fell off the map. He had his heyday between Scream and Scream 3, where he did a lot of pretty good movies. I am a big fan of the very criminally underrated The Faculty.
I do like The Faculty. That's a fun movie.
And, and that had to overcome steep odds because Robert Rodriguez was in the director's chair.
Oh boy. Oh, okay. I didn't know you felt that way about Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, I mean, he has his moments.
Yeah,
that's one of them.
Yeah.
Hey, that first I Know What You Did Last Summer is pretty watchable. The Dawson's Creek, the first couple seasons that Kevin Williamson wrote were really good.
Yeah.
He had his heyday. I feel like I'm even missing out on like another hit. Well, there was Scream 2, but something else. But after Scream 3, he kept going with TV. And he had these 2 shows I really liked that got canceled after one season called Glory Days and Hidden Palms. And and then he did The Vampire Diaries, which was a big hit.
All right, yeah.
But here's what had me worried about Scream 4. Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson collaborated after the Scream movies on a little werewolf film called Cursed.
Right, we mentioned that last week.
We did, and I don't hate that movie, but it's a mess.
Right. Yeah.
And so I didn't know what to expect from Scream 4. Kevin Williamson was long past his prime. I mean, Wes Craven had directed... My Soul to Take is so bad.
Right.
And this movie was marketed as intending to start a new trilogy of Scream films.
Yeah. Right.
So I was legitimately nervous going to see this. I had a comic book that I was writing at the time, and I was scheduled to appear later that day in Suffolk County at a comic book convention doing panel for that comic book, and I should have been preparing for that and taking the train like 3 hours, but instead that morning I went to see Scream 4.
Right. Right.
And
How do you feel about that decision?
I adore Scream 4.
Okay.
I love it. It is, I think, a great movie, and I think it is one of the best horror movies of the past decade.
Wow. Wow. Okay. All right. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Threw me for a loop there, buddy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Wow.
What'd you think?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's a vast improvement on Scream 3 and an improvement on Scream 2. I have a few things to say. Should I just go ahead and say them?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Jump right in.
I think you'll find this interesting. I thought it was actually the best looking Scream movie. The cinematography by this Peter Deming fellow. It looks really good, and
It's a little moodier.
yeah, and there's finally some like nice shade and some moody lighting and great camera angles. So I really appreciated that, and I know some of that probably has to go to the director too. So I think it's a very interesting looking movie, and that was refreshing because after 4 of these fucking things, I wanted at least to look at something that was at least nice looking, and this was. I appreciated it looked like some effort really went into the shots.
Oh, this is Wes Craven's final film, and I
Right.
really do think he was putting his all into this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The best thing about it was I thought the way it looked. I liked a lot of the acting in it, which we'll get to when we get to the MVPs and all that. But
Well, I think we can get to the acting right now because one of the things I think they did in this movie that was smart was in the second and third movies, because the franchise had some clout, they were trying to hire more established actors.
yeah,
And I like the amateur aspect of Scream 4, where we're hiring mostly TV actors.
mm-hmm.
If you look at that opening sequence, the very inventive and incendiary opening sequence, we see Lucy Hale, who is hot off of Pretty Little Liars,
Didn't know her.
Shanae Grimes, who had done Degrassi and at the time was on the new the 90210 reboot.
Didn't know her.
Anna Paquin with
Yeah.
her blonde True Blood hair.
Yeah,
Kristen Bell from Veronica Mars.
right.
And then those are in the sort of film within film parts, and then we finally get out to the modern day, the actual world, which we don't know right away. But
Right.
there we see Amy Teagarden, who was the Taylor's daughter on Friday Night Lights, and Britt Robertson, who was on a WB show, or CW, sorry, called Life Unexpected.
Yeah,
And so right off the bat, and these characters all die in the first 12 minutes of this movie,
yeah,
and it's 6 fantastic TV actors.
yeah. I have a question. Were you fooled by the false openings? Because I was.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, for sure I was. And by the way, the 2 false openings are so good that I'd love to see Scream movies where those are the openings. The bit where Anna Paquin and Kristen Bell are watching the movie together, and
Yeah.
Anna Paquin's talking about how, some girl, Ghostface always kills some girl in the first scene or something, and then Kristen
Right.
Bell just pulls a knife out and stabs Anna Paquin.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. And then
Yeah.
there's that great thing where, because in that one, it's supposed to be Stab 7, and they're on the couch, they're watching Stab 6 and sort of Mystery Science Theater 3000ing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we get out of that, there's a conversation about how does the fact that that scene exists in Stab 7 render the first 6 movies obsolete, because then it's all meta.
Right.
It's really smart. Like,
Well, but wait, okay, so hold on, hang on here. So, yeah, everything you're saying is true, but now you don't think at that point it's also reached just like the point of the, I'm going to steal some notes from the AV Club's review, where it's like kind of a Mobius strip that reflects on itself in a perpetual loop, but meta-arbitrary is still arbitrary, quote unquote.
that's very heady, and
Yeah.
I hope the guy who wrote that fucking dies. No.
Yeah, but there's a
some,
point. I mean,
some things
we're-
are just allowed to be clever. I mean, don't over...
Is it still clever?
Yes, it's clever.
I didn't find it clever. I mean, it's the same thing, though. I mean, it's the same thing where it's talking about itself and excusing itself already before the movie's even begun.
But that's Scream. That was the
I
first.
know.
That was the first Scream. Scream 2 and Scream 3 got up their own assholes a little bit, and it was more about the characters we had created in the first one and creating a sort of universe. And Scream 4, to me, is Kevin Williamson coming out of the gates fighting. Like, 11 years. Actually, it's been since 1997 since he's written
Right.
a Scream movie.
Right.
So much has happened in the horror genre. Torture porn came.
That's true.
The influx of remakes came.
Right.
And Kevin Williamson was like, well, I fucking finally have something to say about horror again. Because I feel like he got all that out in Scream, but so much has happened since Scream 2 that now he's got something to say again. And I think a lot of Scream 4 is more of a critique of horror, in the same way that something like LCD Sound System's music, it kind of works as music, but it's also a critique of indie rock.
That's very heady, and
And you hope I die?
No. But that's very funny because that sentence you just said was like a very AV Club thing to say. LCD Sound System's music is a critique of. I mean, okay,
It is.
Talk about abstract. All right. Okay.
Just
yeah.
ask Pitchfork.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. I'll go look that up right now. Yeah. It's just if the first movie was meta, this whole thing is meta. So I didn't see. I mean, a lot of it, was very funny, but this whole thing right in the beginning, I did get over it, but I had a different reaction than you did to the opening. I liked the false openings, but then once it started talking in on itself, I was just like, oh man, really? So I'm not allowed to criticize the movie again? Like, what a great thing to be able to fall back on.
No,
as a
you're
writer.
allowed to criticize the movie. I think you're getting in your head about the meta thing. It's your same thing with Community. Anything sort of meta takes you out of films, and I don't think it has to. Like,
No, it doesn't have to.
but
and it
I don't think this.
often doesn't.
I don't
but-
think this does. Like, I do think this entire movie is commenting on what the current state of the horror genre was 5 years ago. But I still think Jill and Kirby are interesting characters.
I agree with that. But so it's not. It didn't take you out of the movie when they're in the classroom and they're panning around, very deliberate panning shots of Wes Craven's horror movies that he's made.
Well, some of them are Wes Craven movies.
Yes,
but,
I know.
Really, the common denominator in that classroom was every horror movie Miramax has ever put out.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
It's just the movies they had the rights to.
Yeah, I got it. But still, when you see a Wes Craven poster in a Wes Craven movie, that doesn't take you out of the movie for at least 5 seconds.
No. No, it's just a nod. Like, who cares if you're taken out of the movie for 5 seconds? Like,
You're nodding to yourself. How is that not? I don't understand how that's supposed to be some kind of clever.
it's not supposed to be clever. It's background art.
Uh,
A horror movie class would have Wes Craven posters in it.
well, yeah, but I mean, if they're not going, they could pick a million movies to put in the background, and
We
they
don't
pick.
reference any. Like, in that first Scream movie, because the script was written before Wes Craven signed, we're, like, making Nightmare on Elm Street references. I like where the references go in this movie, where we're talking either about movies that have come out since Scream, or we're going way back and we're talking about Peeping Tom and Suspiria.
Right. Yeah. That was an interesting thing that I didn't think the character would actually know about, but that was interesting.
No, I think now it's so easy to watch old movies. Like, horror geeks really get into horror.
That's true.
I've
They'll
met teenagers who tell like,
talk about Suspiria.
yeah,
and
like
stuff
that's their
yeah.
favorite movie.
Right.
Mhm.
Dario Argento stuff, like they can just pull it out.
Yeah, there's a fucking one of these streaming services now that's just horror movies.
Yeah. Can I mention real quick? I did like. You got to set up the plot briefly, I guess.
Oh,
right?
I guess, yeah. Okay, so we're back in Woodsboro for the first time since the original Scream, which is stupid. And Sydney's in town. She's written a memoir about her experiences in the first three, and she's on a book tour. And her and teens start to be targeted, including her cousin Jill, played by Emma Roberts.
Julia Roberts' niece.
That's right, Nancy Drew, and and they and the murders sort of pile up, and it's very much Scream, the premise, right? Like,
Right.
But I guess now the gimmick is the killers are trying to do a reboot. And at the end of the movie, it turns out that the killers were like the Randy and Sydney analogs. And
Right.
and they were just like, well, no one would suspect Randy and Sydney because they weren't the killers. Which I think is really smart. So they sort of point the finger at the sort of Billy and Stu archetypes.
Yeah. Now, I wondered this, in your opinion. I was definitely fooled by who the killers were, and I wondered if you think, because I think it was in the first movie where you said if it's making you do that, that might be a flaw. But I guess it's the whodunit thing again. So I was definitely fooled. Was that a good thing to be guessing like every person in the movie was? I was thinking like I kept going back and forth from all 20 characters. I was like, that's there. Could be that. Could be her. Could be him.
Yeah, no, I think you're supposed to be doing that, and I think that's
Yeah.
okay. And I did that the first time I watched the movie, and I was 100% wrong about who the killers were going to turn out to be.
Yeah, I was too. Because like I guessed the one in Scream 2. I guessed one of them.
I remember thinking it might be Sydney.
Oh, really?
Like her brain had been so warped from the events of the first three.
Right.
Yeah.
My favorite early moment was when Dewey's cell phone rings, and his ringtone is Axel F by Harold Faltermeyer.
Yeah, the Beverly Hills Cop theme.
I love that.
I enjoyed that too. So in character too.
That was great.
Yeah.
If I could get that on my cell phone, I would.
And by the way, Dewey and Gail at the start of this movie together and have been living together for a long time. Thank you, movie. I don't need Dewey and Gail fucking bickering for an entire movie again.
Yeah, that's been played out. It's good. It was nice to see them just be a couple.
Yeah, and they're kind of a sweet couple, and they've got that chick from the Grindhouse movies.
She was great.
Yeah.
She was great.
Hey, this is a fucking good cast. Like, besides the
Yes.
people I mentioned earlier,
Yes.
again, TV actors, we got Hayden Panettiere, who is doing something that I'd never seen her do before in this movie, where she comes from that show Heroes, where she's just sort of the ingenue, the sort of damsel in distress type.
I thought she was great. in
Yeah,
this.
and then in Nashville, she's sort of playing like a drunk, like dickhead country singer. And I like the shades she brings to Kirby in this movie. And I'll say it right here. She's my MVP.
My MVP is a three-way tie.
You can't do that. You got to pick one.
No, I think I can do that. We did. What are you talking about? We did that like 3 episodes ago. One of us had like a two-way tie.
Fine.
Fine. I'll tell you.
No, tell me who the 3 contenders are.
I'll tell you the 3 contenders, and then I'll narrow it down. All right, I will. I'll do that. My 3 contenders were Anna Paquin because it was funny. Hayden, say the late name for me.
Hayden Planetarium.
Okay, and Marley Shelton.
Marley Shelton, interesting.
Yeah.
Who was the first one you said?
Anna Paquin.
Anna Paquin. She was in
Sure.
it for 2 seconds.
Yeah, but it was a really great cameo. It was really funny. But that's fine. So that'll help me eliminate if you say she's in for 2 seconds. All right. So it's between Hayden Planetarium and Marley Shelton.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave it at I'm going to leave it at the two-way tie. They were
That's
both
fine, that's
fantastic. They were both fantastic. I have one LVP. I'll tell you that one.
Ooh. Who? I don't think anyone really stands out too much.
That dude Trevor.
Oh, the actor. Yeah.
The actor and the character both.
I don't mind the character because he's just such a blatant. It's like.
Right, it's Loomis.
But that's what they're doing. It's
I
like
know,
it's like
I
Billy
know.
Loomis, but so much less interesting. And I think that was intentionally less interesting.
I know.
But yeah, the actor, they could have done a better job. Nico Tortorella, I believe is
Ugh,
that fella's
yeah.
name.
Yeah.
My LVP. Let me think about it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. We also have Adam Brody from the OC popping up as a cop, and his partner Anthony Anderson.
Named Anthony Perkins.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But it's not. That's not. That's not meta.
Who said Scream wasn't meta?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna be pissing you off. I'm sorry.
Uh,
It keeps coming up.
They have a conversation where they say, how about this callback to earlier episodes of the podcast? It sucks to be a cop in a movie unless you're Bruce Willis.
Yeah, that was
And
funny.
then when Anthony Anderson dies via stabbing in the forehead, oof.
Stabbing in the forehead and brutal death, and still able to be alive for at least 10 or 12 seconds and still utter the words "fuck Bruce Willis." Wow.
But you rip on that, but apparently this was something Wes Craven added based on a story he heard or saw in a documentary or something, which was a fella who got stabbed in the head and for whatever reason staggered around long enough that he actually made it into the hospital before dying.
Oh, I believe that. Anything's possible medically. Yeah. Wow. That's interesting, though. So that wasn't a capricious decision. He actually,
No.
Yeah. Call back to Bruce.
Yeah, and the other killer, the sort of Randy, is Rory Culkin. A Culkin makes an appearance. In this
He
film.
does. Yeah.
Apparently, the most normal Culkin.
Oh, is that right?
From what I hear,
Is he the? He's not the Culkin in Igby Goes Down, right?
that's
another,
Kieran.
another Culkin. Okay.
Which one of them dated Anna Paquin?
Damned if I know.
I think it might be Kieran.
Okay.
Macaulay?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no idea. Yeah, that surprised me though. I didn't see that. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, and he's pretty good in this movie.
Yeah. Well, he's a good actor. He was a good kid actor when he was in Signs.
Is that Rory?
Yeah.
Are you sure? There's
I'm
a lot of them.
No, that's him. Yeah, that's
Okay.
him. I love that movie, so I'm pretty sure it's him. Yeah.
Swing away. Rory is good in this movie. I particularly liked him in the classroom scene where he's sort of lecturing the horror movie class.
Yeah, that was
And
good.
he's good in the sort of showdown at the end.
Yeah.
So the other killer in this movie turns out to be Emma Roberts, Sydney's cousin. And her reason for doing it is if she's the last woman standing in a bloodbath, then she'll get to be famous.
Right.
And so, it's obviously a commentary on the sort of celebu culture.
Sure. Reality TV, anything to be famous type thing.
Yeah, reality TV a lot, because there's that one character who's running around in this movie with a camera attached to his head.
Yeah, head cam. Yeah.
Yeah, and the killers are filming all their kills, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Did you think that the ending with in the hospital was a little homage to Halloween 2?
That occurred to me. I love Halloween too.
Yeah. I just wondered. I mean, it's not that long, but I figured maybe that was an idea they got from that. Oh, and I have a note about your buddy Marco Beltrami.
Oh.
I think this was a better score than the other ones, and I think it tied into the atmosphere of the movie, which was just overall better directed, better shot, and better scored. Just a lot of effort.
He was using a lot less of the themes.
Yeah, I think maybe that's why I liked it.
Yeah. He was writing new stuff for this one.
Yeah. And I really liked the song in the closing credits.
What song?
A song called Bad Karma by Ida Maria.
Oh, I know that band.
Yeah, I did not, and I really liked the song. It was very cool.
Yeah, a lot less. Like that Scream 3 is just wall-to-wall cock rock.
Right.
And this one, the music is relatively light. There's a few good music cues, and that's about it.
Right.
Finally, because the music in 2 and 3 are pretty rough.
Yeah, they are.
But
it is.
I like the hospital sequence at the end, and I especially like the moment where Sydney, the killing blow in Scream 3 where she says, "It's your turn to scream, asshole," is so bad.
Yeah.
But then in Scream 4, they totally make up with it, where she goes like, "The number one rule of remakes, don't fuck with the original." I think I cheered in the theater. Like,
God.
I couldn't help it. I like let out a sound.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And she has to go through earlier in that scene. Emma Roberts going, "Your ingenue days, they're over." Cutting a little close to home, having Emma Roberts say that to Neve Campbell.
Ooh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Emma Roberts has turned out to be a good little actor.
She is.
She's good on that Scream Queens show.
I've seen her in a couple of movies, and no complaints.
Yeah, she's good. She's sort of like not as good as like a Shailene Woodley, but she's in that range.
Right. Not as good as her dad.
Oh, Eric Roberts.
Yeah.
The great Eric Roberts.
Hey. He's, what am I going to say about Eric Roberts?
Yeah, what? Yeah, come on.
Nothing.
You're going to sit here and defend Eric Roberts?
Nope. I'm actually going to say one of my favorite Saturday Night Live sketches of all time was when Rob Lowe impersonated Eric Roberts. And it was one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. He goes on the Joe Pesci show.
I love the Joe Pesci show.
Oh, my God. And his impression is just so out there and completely ridiculous. And then Joe Pesci beats him to death with a baseball bat.
Of course.
It's great. Yeah.
So that's Scream 4. Do you have anything else to say about it?
Well, I have. It's this one's like you said about. I think you were talking about Die Hard 3, Die Hard with a Vengeance, when you were saying that this is where the star ratings become, problematic. That was a little problematic for you. Not problematic, but that I gave Die Hard 3 5 stars, because if I gave the first one 5 stars, then what does that mean? Type of thing.
No, I think that was fine. I
Right.
said where the 5-star rating is weird is like Basic Instinct to me is not a 5-star movie, but is so clearly the best one in the franchise,
Right.
and that's
Okay.
sort of what we've given the 5-star thing.
So I had a little debacle here. Overall, Scream 4 is, to me, a vast improvement on 3 and 2. But I still didn't like it very much. And I don't want to give it 3 stars because I gave Scream 3 stars, which maybe I should have given 4. So my overall rating for Scream 4 is still 2 stars. Because there's just not enough to hang on to. It still just goes on, and it's just more of the same, that it wasn't.
Yeah, I had a tough time with this one too, because I kind of want to give it a 5, but I don't think it's in the conversation for best. Like
Right.
I love this movie, but Scream is the best Scream movie.
Right.
And I think I gave Scream 2 4,
Okay.
but I think this is much better than Scream 2.
Oh, yeah. So, okay.
So I'm gonna go 4.
All right, then I'm going to go 2. I mean, I gave Scream 2 2, but I like this better. But I didn't like it. It's not even close to being as good as the first Scream.
Okay.
So I'm going to go 2.
That's fine with me. Oh, I still have to give my LVP, don't I?
Yeah, and then we can rank them at the end if you want.
Yeah, I'll go with fake Billy Loomis, I guess.
Oh, you're going to go with the one I went with?
Yeah. Here's just 3 notes. Get out my other favorite things about this movie that did not fit into the conversation.
Mhm.
I love Kevin Williams's thesis that in order to survive a horror movie now, there are no rules. The only rule is if you're gay, you'll survive.
Doesn't the killer like kind of stop and pause for a second too when he says that?
Yeah, he says, I'm gay, if that works for you, and then he stabs him.
That was funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great, especially coming from Kevin Williamson, who is a gay man.
Right.
And I enjoyed Kirby and Jill watching Shaun of the Dead.
That was funny.
Scream giving a shout out to the best meta horror movie to come out since Scream.
Okay.
And I liked that. Okay, so there's one scene where the characters are watching that first Stab movie.
Uh-huh.
Where it's the one we see scenes from in that second Scream movie where it's like Tori Spelling. And,
That's right. Yeah.
okay, and in the opening credits, we never saw a director credit in Scream 2.
Uh-huh.
And in this movie, it says directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Oh yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. So explain that to me. What's going on there?
I mean, he's a guy who's part of the Miramax staple.
Okay.
So that has to have something to do with it. He worked with Kevin Williamson on The Faculty, so it might be a little shout out to a friend.
All right.
But it also just makes so much sense because of how shitty that Stab movie looks.
Mm. Right, because Robert Rodriguez, as we know, usually uses a budget of what, $5,000? Because that's how he shot El Mariachi, right? So
Yeah, he goes, hey man, El Mariachi, I've got access to a guitar and I have access to a turtle. I'll make a movie. I don't know why I made him like an Italian monster.
yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's a Silvio Berlusconi. I like it. Yeah. Robert Rodriguez, who doesn't have any kind of accent at all, actually. But yeah.
So this is another one like Basic Instinct where I don't believe it's going to be difficult to rank these films, right? I mean, I'm at 1, 4, 2, 3. Is that where you're at?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I think probably some purists of the series, some of the people that don't like 4 as much might rank
2, right?
Yeah, but actually the AV Club recently did a ranking of Scream, and they had number 3 in like second position.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah, they were like, finally, just getting back to the comedy, and it's like that's not what I want. Like, shut up.
That's true. That's weird though, because of I read the reviews for 3 and 4, and neither was favorable. So that's bizarre.
No, this is an after the fact thing. They have a
revisiting.
They have a column called "Run the Series." Not as good a name as the franchise.
No.
And
what is?
Yeah, and they rank franchises. And
okay.
They did Scream kind of like a month or 2 ago.
So what'd they do? What did they do? 1, 3, 2, 4?
I think it was something like that. Yeah. All right, so that's Scream. I just want to talk a little bit about what happened after this movie. Wes Craven dies.
Yes.
Kevin Williamson, I think, hurt by the reviews and box office for Scream 4 takes his career in some very disappointing places. He goes on to create 2 TV shows, The Following.
Oh, is that Kevin Bacon thing?
Yeah.
Right.
And Stalker.
I haven't heard of that one.
That got canceled after a season.
Okay.
I think Dylan McDermott was in it.
Oh, that's why.
I could be wrong.
That's why it got canceled.
Yeah. No one cares. But listen, those are basically torture porn. And that was so disappointing to see after Scream 4, which is such a blistering commentary on why torture porn is not the way to go with horror.
Right.
And, And so that sort of makes me sad, and I really want Kevin Williamson to do something interesting again. Now, his next TV show already been greenlit. It's a thing called Time After Time, and it's about like H.G. Wells, like riding around in his time machine.
Is that at all based on the 1979 Malcolm McDowell, Mary Steenburgen movie?
Yeah, I think it is, actually.
Yeah, not a good movie, but, if he takes that concept, maybe that could be cool.
It could at least be fun.
Sure.
So, yeah, that's Kevin Williamson. I don't like where he's gone post Scream 4. It's very, very disappointing. As a guy who wants to watch his shows, I watched every episode of The Following.
Oh, okay.
Never really enjoying it much, and then I tuned in for Stalker, and I watched one episode, and I was like, I don't think I could do this one.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So he's an example of somebody, but you're not giving up on him.
No, I'll watch everything he ever does. I'll watch
Okay.
at least an episode.
You're a loyalist. That's good.
I'm not always, but Kevin Williamson at a certain point in my life meant a whole lot to me.
Sure.
There is another TV show I want to talk about very briefly.
Yeah.
And that's Scream, the TV show.
Yes. Go ahead.
Currently in its 2nd season on MTV, of all places.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it is dog shit. And here's me being a loyalist again. I've watched every episode.
Yeah.
Because it's Scream. I'm not going to not watch something called Scream.
Right. Hey, might want to jostle the mic there a little bit, buddy.
Whoa, what's wrong?
Oh, you were sounded like you were on an airplane for a second there. We're getting some turbulence.
Oh, shit. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I've got the DTs. All right. It's basically... it's a high school show, and it's got the same basic premise as Scream. There was like a murder years ago, and now there's killings that seem to have something to do with that murder.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a character like Randy who's making horror movie references a lot, and it's pretty boring. There's some good kills at a certain point, but you can't get too graphic because it's on MTV.
Yeah, that would be very limiting, I would think.
It's not as limiting as you'd think, actually.
Yeah.
But it's not the same. And, I mean, nobody's in it. There's, like, some of the guest stars are interesting. Like, one of the characters' dads is played by Salvatore from Mad Men.
Oh, wow, that's weird.
Yeah, and another of the characters' dads is Tom Everett Scott. They dug that guy up.
How do I know him?
He's the lead in the classic That Thing You Do. And also the other classic, Dead Man on Campus.
Never heard of that.
It's on theaters.
Okay.
It's him and Mark Paul Gosselaar, buddy comedy.
Okay.
So the first season ends, spoilers for Scream, the TV show. It turns out, so there's this one character who comes to town, and she's like the Gale Weathers.
Okay.
But she's not a news reporter. She's a podcaster. Because we're getting current with it.
Of course.
So she has like a podcast that she's doing about the murders, and it's basically a take on Serial. And then at the end of the first season, she turns out to be the killer. And now in the second season, murders have started up again, and now these are based on the killings from that first season. So I don't know how long they could keep this up.
Are you going to stick with it?
Oh, 100%. I'll watch every episode for as long as it's on.
Okay. Now, you might have said this already. I'm sorry if you did. This is taking place in a completely different universe, right? We're not...
Oh, we are not referencing. There are no characters from Scream.
Okay.
They don't exist.
They don't exist. All right.
It takes place, and they cast a girl in the lead who looks like Emma Roberts, sort of.
Okay.
And it's a more diverse cast, not racially, but there's some bisexuals and gay people. And we're doing a thing where, it's very silly. The adults are meaningless. It's just kids flying around. It's basically Pretty Little Liars, but people get murdered.
Kids flying around.
Yeah. There's like a sexy girl, and she's banging her teacher, because you have to do that on every high school show.
Right.
Yeah. It's rough. And then they break up. The teacher starts stalking her.
I don't think I've watched a television show on MTV since 1994.
Oh, I hadn't in a long time, other than the Beavis and Butthead reboot they did probably like 5 years ago.
Actually, that was, not the reboot, but that was probably the last thing I watched on MTV.
Yeah.
I watched The Real World for a while.
Yeah, me too. I used to watch some of that. And I was of the age where Total Request Live was kind of a thing. So
yeah, I remember that.
I would watch that.
Mm-hmm.
And
the multi-talented Carson Daly.
I was a big fan of Jesse Camp for a while from the Wanna Be a VJ contest.
Okay, don't know.
Oh, he was basically like this like heroin-addled like teenager that like they were like it was like the search for the next VJ, and everyone voted for him because they were like they let the fans vote. Like Dave Holmes was in the running, who's like a funny comedian and a good host now, and he came in second because everybody just wanted to see what the fuck this weird heroin kid would do.
And what did he do?
You know, he was on this channel for like an hour being like out of his mind for a year. He was there for a year. And then he came out with an album and it failed, and then no one saw him again. But, so that, MTV. But whatever. Yeah, Scream the TV show, you know, it makes Scream 3 look like Scream.
Oh!
Yeah. And it takes place in a town called Lakewood, which is, you know, their version of Woodsboro. It's stupid.
Sure.
Anyway, that's Scream the TV show. We'll be back on the podcast next week.